Hi guys, happy Monday. So it's the first Monday after that full moon in Taurus, and that full moon in Taurus was crazy. You might hear my pressure cooker in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I can hear it. The full moon in Taurus, that was really crazy. It was very enlightening. There were a lot of revelations that came about it, and we're going to talk about how it's really going to also affect this week coming up. So we're going to talk astrology and do a little bit of tarot at the end. Starting from yesterday, I would have done this yesterday, but if you guys felt the way that I felt yesterday, it was really heavy. It was like there was no way that I was going to do anything, and I wasn't going to force myself to do anything yesterday either. So, but we're going to start with the energies yesterday, Sunday, November 1st, and go all the way to Saturday, November 7th. So this is the weekly energies. A couple of things before we get started. I'm hosting a Manifesting 101 workshop on November 14th. It's pretty cool. This whole year, it's, with all of the restrictions that we've had in the collective and all of the things going on in the world, I manifested more this year than any other year in my life, I think, and came into complete alignment with everything that I was supposed to be doing, and I want to share that with you guys. So I want to share how I did it with you guys so you can have the same tools, and you don't have to use the moon phases, and you don't have to wait for a specific energy that the universe is giving you. You can learn how to manifest in an everyday life no matter what's going on. And so this workshop on November 14th is it's 2 hours long. It might even last longer than that. We're just gonna go with the flow and kind of wing it and see how it goes. I'm really super excited to share these things with you guys. So, and there's only limited space. So if you would like to do that, the link to reserve your spot is in the description box. And I do have a few openings. I've opened up some spots for some discounted 30-minute intuitive readings for this coming weekend. So Friday through Monday. So Friday the 6th through Monday the 9th, I have some openings. I'm going to fill them until they're closed, until they're full. Because I feel like a lot of people right now just need to find a little bit of clarity and figure out, especially as we're coming out of Mercury retrograde and moving into that shadow aspect, that shadow point. I feel like a lot of people are sort of like grasping at straws and trying to figure out what to do. So I wanted to open up some time. If you want to reserve your spot for that, it's only $60 for 30 minutes. And if you were a member, you would get another 10% off of that. So if you'd like to become a member and get an additional 10% off of that $60, you can join. All of that information is in the description box. Let's get going on the energy. So yesterday we were sort of integrating and processing. The moon was still in Taurus. We were still in the full moon phase. Mercury was squaring Saturn and Venus was opposite Chiron. I know that I had several moments of just needing to cry, just needing to release. And however you do it, like the way that I transmute energy is that I cry, because that's just the easiest, the fastest. Like I'm a Virgo, right? I'm very efficient with the way that I do everything. So even when it comes to my healing process, I'm like, how can I get through this as quickly as possible? And I know I can't detour anymore. I know I can't shut myself down. So I just allowed myself to cry a couple of times yesterday and kind of integrate the energy. I had my own realizations. I had my own aha moments. I had my own, basically times where I was like, oh wow, this is what my next part is. This is where I'm going is. And this whole week is going to be shrouded with that Mercury squaring Saturn. So this whole week you might feel, and like sometimes it's going to be a little bit more stricter than others, but you might really feel like every single thing you do, every single time you want to push forward, every single time you want to make a plan, something like that, you sort of feel restricted. You sort of feel like you're getting some kind of pushback or nothing is working right, or what you're like, oh my God, is it still Mercury retrograde? Because Mercury goes direct tomorrow, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But you may still have times this whole week, and it's going to be packed full of emotions with everything that's going on in the collective, how there's so much he said, she said stuff going on, how there's so much political stuff going on. This whole week is based on where the moon is, what the moon phases are going to be like, and our emotional capacity, and where are we allowing ourselves to, like, where are we holding ourselves back from that emotional capacity, and where are we allowing ourselves to create like long-term solid plans, right? And once Mercury goes direct tomorrow, it'll be a little bit more clear on where those long-term plans are supposed to be, but we have to be super dedicated to what our path is, and we have to be super dedicated to what our goal is. And if you're not quite there yet, using the energies and using the emotions and allowing yourself to see where those triggers are this week are going to really be like your friend. So yesterday, whatever triggers came up, whatever realizations came up from this full moon, I want you to allow yourself to process that. I want you to, don't distract yourself from the feelings. Don't say, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. Discomfort is the way to healing. And I know that sounds counterproductive because you're like, why do I want to be uncomfortable? We're not always going to be happy. Things aren't always going to go our way. Life isn't always just going to be like, la-di-da, everything is perfect. My life is certainly not perfect. I just know how to go about, like, when things come up and it's disruptive, or it feels uncomfortable, or it triggers me, or it brings up an emotion or something like that, I allow myself to feel and process through it. And that's what the cosmos are trying to teach us right now this whole year. That's what the cosmos have been trying to teach us. Today, we get a little bit of relief. So you probably woke up this morning and you were like, oh wow, I feel so much lighter than I did the last couple of days. And I hope you were able to have a little bit of fun on Halloween. I got to hang out with one of my soul sisters. She's the one that does all of my jewelry. I'm only wearing one of her necklaces right now, but her information is in the description box. She does amazing wrapped jewelry. And we were fairy princesses, and she actually made herself a crown and made us some wands too. So I think that she's going to actually start doing this as well too. So if you are interested in any kind of jewelry, anything like that, I don't want to get off topic, but I got to hang out with her. Jack and I did, and we went, you know, in her little tiny community, in her community, we went trick-or-treating, so it was safe and kept our distances and stuff like that, and had a really good time. So I hope you guys were able to have a good time. Today we are getting some clarity. The moon is in Gemini, and later this evening it'll be trining Venus. And so there's sort of like this sweetness. There's like this magic spot, if you will. Kind of giving us the opportunity to be like, oh wow, okay, now I know what I need to do. You can sort of get your shit together before the week gets too heavy for you to get things done. Today's a really good day for you to just get things done, and allowing yourself to just sort of like give yourself a break, give everybody else a break, and share the love, spread the love today. Tomorrow, the moon is still in Gemini. It's election day in the United States. I know everybody's been waiting for this day. I'm like, can we just fucking get it over with already? I don't really care who's president. I feel like it's going to be the same thing either way. I know that people have opinions about my opinion on that, but that's just how I feel. Nothing's going to change right now. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter whoever's in office, the same things are going to happen. Like, that's just the way it goes. That's how I feel. Sorry. If you feel a different way, 100% I understand. And you can argue with me. I'm not going to argue back. I'm just saying. Okay. Now that we got that straight. I'm not a political person, so I refuse to talk about politics. I don't care. So Mercury goes direct tomorrow at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 9:50 a.m. Pacific Time. Wherever you are in the world, calculate it based on that 12:50 Eastern Time. That's when Mercury will go direct for you. We're still under that square with Saturn. The moon is going to be sextiling Mars, and Venus will be in conjunct Uranus. So when we have an in conjunction, you've heard of the conjunction, right? Where they're right on top of each other. The in conjunction is when it's 5 houses away, and that's a difficult process to go through. That's kind of a difficult aspect for 2 planets to be in. So when Venus is in conjunct Uranus, there's this really unstable emotional capacity, especially when we have the moon sextiling Mars. There's like this overconfidence, and the moon is going to be squaring Neptune. So people are just going to be pissed tomorrow. Like, no matter what happens and this is why I'm like, it doesn't matter who actually wins the election. People will be pissed, whether it, either way, people are just going to be upset and angry that they didn't get their way or their person didn't get voted in. And I know that change needs to happen. I just don't think that it's going to start with the White House. I feel like the change has to start with us. I feel like it's more of a community and collective change that needs to happen. And it, so when going through tomorrow, the biggest thing that I want to tell you guys for tomorrow, and honestly the next couple of days after that, is really find out why you're angry. Find out what it is that's angering you, and then change it from the source. Change it from yourself, and allow yourself to see things from a different perspective. The whole perception of how we're seeing the world right now is not the same perception as somebody else's. That's why I was like, I know my opinion is different than other people's. I'm aware that my perception of things is different than some other people's perception of things. There are some things about my life that are much easier than other people get to have in their lives, but also there are some things about my life that are much harder than other people have in their lives, right? So there's nothing that's going to be a definitive conclusion for anybody until you get down to the actual source of whatever it is that needs to change. And a lot of times that starts with our own perception and recognizing that other people don't have the same perception as us, right? So, but there will be a lot of people that are still very much asleep and don't understand that their egos are very much in charge right now. And so there's going to be an emotional volatility this week. There's going to be this need for control. And that, I'm not surprised with everything that's been going on this year that there's a meteor that's headed towards Earth right now. It's not going to hurt us. Like, nothing is going to actually happen. It's like the size of a refrigerator. It's not really, I would not be shocked if something did happen with it, but like, also, I'm not surprised to see that people are, getting ready for riots. Like, anything that's happening right now is not a big surprise to me, and this week is really going to show us that as well. Wednesday, the moon is still in Gemini. It's going to be trining Mercury, which is Gemini's ruling planet. And this is going to be a day where you're going to really want to express how you feel with that moon trining Mercury. The moon will also be in conjunct Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So allowing yourself to express yourself authentically, finding your motivation behind it, and your decisions are going to be based on how you perceive your current circumstances. The decisions and the anger and the triggers and the volatility and all of that stuff has absolutely really nothing to do with what's happening with everybody else. Everything has to do with how you're perceiving the circumstances in the outside world and how they're affecting you directly. Yes, there is sort of, once Saturn and Jupiter move into Aquarius, it will be more of a community and humanitarian effort to look at other people and be like, what do we need to change? And I know a lot of people are bringing in that like governmental change locally. I think that is smart. I think bringing all of the changes to government and stuff starting locally, like I said, started at the source, instead of like trying to jump from square one to square 100, right? All the way up to the White House, starting where you are there. So if you want to find a lot of change, especially in your own neighborhood, when you're voting, really vote for what matters for you in your neighborhood during your time. I guarantee you things are going to change. I don't think the White House is even going to look the same next year. That's just my prediction. I feel, and I know that a lot of astrologers are talking about like what could possibly happen in the White House right now, and with whoever is elected and da-da-da-da-da. Excuse me. I'm drinking my lemon honey water because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. Happens every time this time of year. I've already been talking about it. Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about how the White House isn't going to look the same as Election Day anyways, or the same as after Election Day of whoever is voted in. It's not going to look the same. This time next year, nothing's going to look the same. So there's a need for us to really rein it in a community capacity. Like, if you want things to change, you have to start with your community. And I think that's what this entire week is really going to be representing for us. On Thursday, the 5th, emotions again will be front and center. And you're going to be wanting to talk about it. Mercury, the moon will be in Cancer. Mercury is direct. It's going to be squaring Saturn this time while it's direct, as we had that Mercury square Saturn on Sunday, but Mercury was retrograde, right? So what did the Mercury retrograde teach you? I feel like this Mercury square Saturn day on Thursday is really asking us, like, what did Mercury retrograde teach you? What are the lessons that you can integrate in a really long-term capacity? You might feel a little stifled still in trying to get going and trying to push forward and trying to allow yourself to make plans for the future. And if you do feel like you're still kind of sputtering and you don't have a lot of gas, just like let it go for now. Realize that you have all the time in the world to make the plans. And if you don't have all the time in the world to make the plans, then maybe those plans aren't the plans you're supposed to be making. Do you see what I'm saying? Find out where you're limiting yourself. Allow yourself to have ideas for the future, space to make plans to unfold for the long haul. Anything that's created now could benefit or hinder your future plans. So you could like overexert yourself. And there were some times during Mercury retrograde that I was like, okay, well, I'm making these plans and I'm getting this started, and am I overexerting myself? Like, I made sure that I put boundaries, even with myself, not just with other. You have to have boundaries for yourself too, or you're going to overdo it every single time. The moon will be trining the sun. So the moon in Cancer will be trining the sun in Scorpio. The moon will be sextiling Uranus. It'll be squaring Venus. So there's going to be a big struggle for change. Like, we want to have the change. We know what the change is, but there's this emotional charge behind it. And it's like, man, I mean, I could just see the uprising happening this week. Honestly, with how everybody's going to be so emotionally charged, I feel like there's almost another revolution, like another 2020 revolution that's happening. There's already like riots and protests that are happening in London or in the UK because lockdowns are happening again. The virus is starting up, like, whatever, right? So there's this need and capacity for people to feel heard. There's this need and capacity for people to feel like they're being listened to, or they're being seen, or they're being heard. And this week is not going to be any different than that. And I think that I'm not here to like scare anybody. Like, I don't want to scare anybody into thinking that something bad or negative is going to happen. It's not that I believe that something bad or negative is going to happen, but I just think that if we kind of remember who we are and where our safe space is, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. I'm going to stay in my safe space this week because I know that's what's best for me. And I'm just going to kind of like pop some popcorn and watch everything happen. Like, I don't know what else there is supposed to do. Yes. Did I vote? Of course I voted. Absolutely. I voted. Do I think that that's really going to 100% matter that I voted? Nobody can really predict the future at this point. We can kind of guess to see what things might happen or how people might hey, maybe everybody just decides they want to get along this week, no matter who wins. I guarantee that's not going to happen, but we can always hope, right? Friday, the 6th, the moon is in Cancer. It's going to be opposite Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. This is going to be one of those really moody days. Mercury is still going to be squaring Saturn. And this is like that moody day that we get once a month now with everything that's going on in Capricorn, and the moon is in Cancer. The moon being in Cancer is a moody bitch anyway. So Not that I think that everybody with the moon in Cancer is a moody bitch, but I'm just saying that especially when she's being triggered by Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And, you know, so it's almost like we're going to go through a roller coaster. Like things are going to be really good and things are going to be really bad, and then things are going to be really good and then things are going to be really bad. So creating your own existence, like really having that space for you to have that soft spot to land on Friday. If you need to get in touch with people, if you need to reach out to people so you don't feel so alone, especially on Friday, I think that would be a really good idea for everybody to make sure that you have a backup plan. Make sure that you have somebody on speed dial that you can get to at a drop of a hat if you need to. Saturday, we get the shift, Moon in Leo, squaring Uranus. That's going to be another kind of erratically emotional, really strong intuition. The moon will be trining Chiron, and the sun will be in conjunct Mars. So the sun in Scorpio will be in conjunct Mars in Aries. Again, that's that 5 houses away from each other, and that's tough. That is a really tough. There's going to be a lot of irrational people this week. There's going to be a lot of people really quick to anger. There will be a lot of people saying me instead of what can we do for us. The moon in Leo is somebody who is very aware of how they feel, but sometimes they're not sure how to express that in you know, like Leo is just opposite Aquarius, where Aquarius is the humanitarian and Leo is the this is about me kind of thing. And I'm not saying that people with the moon in Leo are selfish people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is going to be a time where people are really looking at like, how is this affecting me, and not how is this affecting the world kind of thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So where we have that moon in Cancer, where it's like trying to make a safe space, trying to make a safe home, and then shifting to Leo, where it's like, how can I keep myself safe? And there will be some triggers. There will be some irrational people. There will be some people that are quick to anger this week. I think that if we stay in a state of minding your own damn business, stay in your lane, mind your business, you don't have to always say the things, right? This week could be a week where if you decide to just be like blah, 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 and say all the things, that you could lose friends and family, you know, just really allow, like, man, stay in your own lane, you guys. Like, that's really all I can say. It's not gonna be like a horribly rough week, but I think with the outside, like cosmically, it's not a really rough week, but everything that's happening this week in the collective, everything that's happening with the political stuff, everything that's happening with the virus, all of those things are going to add up to the emotional volatility that we could actually see this week. So let's do some tarot. I'm gonna take a quick drink really quick. Do what my sign says and just love. Let's just all love each other a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. Okay. And it might feel like you're sort of just stopped dead in your tracks, but that 10 of Swords came up, and actually the Hanged Man was hiding behind the 10 of Swords. So it's almost like we have to look at this 10 of Swords in a different perspective. The 10 of Swords represents two different, like, kind of two different things for me. The 10 of Swords is like going to the worst possible case scenario. I think a lot of people are like, you know what, I just have to think of the worst right now, because if the worst happens, I need to be able to deal with it. I just need to be able to, like, come to terms with it, or whatever I need to do to make myself feel better in this moment. But that Hanged Man is saying, you know, looking at things in a different perspective is always the way to go. That 10 of Swords is also a completion. So sometimes that 10 of Swords is like, we've already been through the worst parts. We've already been through the hardest parts. And if we just sort of allow ourselves to get over this hump and recognize that this is not the worst that we've ever seen, this is not the worst that we've ever been, this is not the worst where we're going, things could actually turn out to be better than we think they are. But yeah, that 10 of Swords is sort of a completion. It's like, man, we've been through the ringer this year. All of us have. Like, there is not one person that has not been affected by 2020. And if there is somebody that hasn't been affected by 2020, I would like to see it, right? I do think that this week's going to be full of confusion. I think there's a lot of opportunity within that confusion, though. I always feel like when we get like a restart, when we get like a reset, or we, press the restart button, we get this opportunity to say, I have a clean slate. I can do anything from here. Like, everything is possible within this moment if I just look at things in a perspective different than what I was looking at it before. So we have the 10 of Swords and the Hanged Man. We have the 7 of, I still have spider webs on my fingernails, by the way. That's going to be changing. The 7 of Cups. We have the King of Swords. And we have the Queen of Cups. This duality right here, 100% what's happening this week. There's the duality, there's that argument between our logic and our emotions, our ego and our intuition. And we have to have ego. Like, ego is something necessary. Ego keeps us alive, right? Ego reminds us of the fear, but we don't have to sit in that ego. We don't have to sit in that fear. We don't have to sit in that anger, that frustration, that pain, that trigger. We don't have to sit there. And the more we allow ourselves to not sit within that ego, we can hear our intuition. We can hear the softer side. We can hear the side that says, yes, I understand that you're in pain right now, but it doesn't always have to be this way. It can look different. Sorry, that really hit me in the... Woo, that lemon. Okay. So this, sorry, I did not realize it was going to hit me like that. Man, it hits. Okay, so that 7 of Cups, and then of course it makes me like salivate even more, and I don't want to spit. So here, let me do some water. That was insane. This is real life, people. Welcome to me. 7 of Cups, we do have a lot of opportunities. We do have a lot of space within the illusion too, to create. So, let's see what this 10 of Swords is. Oh yeah, exactly. And remember that when things end, when things are complete, even if it's really painful to get there, you get an opportunity to manifest outside of that. Now, the 9 of Cups can sometimes be overindulging. So please try not to overindulge in alcohol or drugs this week. Emotions are going to be high enough. And you triggering your psyche in some way with an upper or a depressant, I'm not judging. Do what you got to do, right? But if you are overindulging too much, you could completely remove yourself from reality and not know what the hell to do next. So, but that 9 of Cups is also about manifestation and getting a dream. And it doesn't always have to be the worst case scenario. We don't always have to go straight to the worst case scenario. We don't always have to say everything's going to be really, really painful up until this point, until it's not. If you feel a little bit stuck within your manifestations, if you feel like there's not really much for you to go on, give yourself a break this week. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And this Hanged Man is asking you to take a minute. Just take a minute. Think about, the more you flip your ideas, the more you allow yourself to see things in a different perspective, the better and brighter it's going to be. The more you'll be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The more you'll recognize that this isn't the worst possible case scenario that we're getting into. Because there's so many different scenarios that could happen between tomorrow and January. So many different scenarios that could happen. and creating a space for yourself that is the sun, right? So the sun is healing. It's the best card you can get in tarot. It's clarity, it's belonging, it's healing, it's feeling like, oh man, there's something much brighter down the road for me. So then we get to the Seven of Cups. And where there once was confusion, that sun is bringing kind of a bright spot within the confusion and a little bit of clarity within those shadowy spaces. Allowing yourself, so we go from the Seven of Cups to the Eight of Cups, allowing yourself to walk away from the bullshit. This is about staying in your lane. When there's so much going on and you can't decipher one emotion between another emotion, allow yourself to say, this is not really for me, and I can go in a different direction, or I can go this way, and it doesn't have to be so painful, and it doesn't have to be so resistant, right? So that Eight of Cups is walking away from the emotional baggage, walking away from those things that are triggering you. And it's not distracting yourself to walk away. It's saying, I don't need to have this trigger anymore. Feeling that trigger, knowing that it exists, and being like, I don't need to deal with that anymore. That is not something that I need to hold on to. Let's see what this masculine King of Swords is. Sometimes the King of Swords to me does represent the government. And then we have the Queen of Cups. It's so funny because the World came out on that King of Swords. And it's like the end of logic is the thing that I heard. There's a cycle that's closing out when it comes to big government, is how I want to say this. And it's not, and again, I'm not going to get into politics with anybody. So if anybody wants to argue with me about what I say here, I'm not going to argue back. Most likely it'll just get deleted, so don't waste your time, energy, or breath when it comes to it, because it'll probably just get deleted anyways. But it does. It feels like people are just sort of tired of listening to the garbage that they're hearing and not getting any actual answers or anything. So I feel like there is sort of a cycle that's ending when it comes to the way government is perceived by, we've been talking about perception a lot and how to perceive things. You're perceiving everything that's going on in the collective right now based on your existence, not based on somebody else. You don't know somebody else's existence. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know why they believe what they believe. Let people believe what they want to believe, and you believe what you want to believe, and then start changing things from there. I feel like with the World card here, there is a cycle that's ending with like an angry, overly logical, really angry masculine. That's what that feels like. So even if we're not talking about government, just the masculine energy in itself, it feels like it's softening. It feels like there's a cycle that's ending with the angry masculine, or the masculine that has to assert himself in a dominant kind of way, right? So then we have, I love this, that this happened. The Knight of Cups on the Queen of Cups. It's all in love, man. It's just like, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, everything is represented in love. Even the pain, even the frustration, even the anger. Love is within all of it. I watched the movie Collateral Beauty like 5 times in the last week, I think, because I find a gem within that movie. If you've never seen it, it's with Will Smith. Keira Knightley's in it. Edward Norton's in it. There's just, the cast is amazing. But it's about this guy that lost his daughter to cancer at 6 years old. And he's having it's like 2 years later, he's having a really hard time dealing with it. And he writes letters to death, love, and time. And he, his friends, peers, people that own the business with him, come up with a plan because they want to sell the business, and he won't talk about it. And they come up with a plan to have him actually meet love, death, and time. It's a really amazing story. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but if you have an opportunity to watch Collateral Beauty, please do it. I don't even remember when the movie was made, but it's been several years. But it encompasses everything that we need to be encompassing right now. Knowing that, you know, death is inevitable. Time isn't linear. It's an illusion. Love is within everything. Like, you know, just the message that we need to be putting out there is not that anger and sadness and pain and frustration is opposite of love. It is that love is within all of that. And if we found the love within the pain and the frustration and the anger, then maybe we can solve some problems a little bit better. And I feel like that's what the feminine energy, the softening, right? And I had this thing, what I call the great softening, that happened to me earlier this year, where a lot of me just sort of opened up, like the pieces that I had closed off for a very long time because I didn't want to get hurt. Everything started opening up a little bit more. So kind of accepting some of the harder parts of existence, and recognizing where we can grow and where we need to grow, and the capacity that we can have within ourselves to grow is not just rooted within the logical side of things, right? We have to really embody, going back to Manifesting 101, we really have to embody what it is, how we want to see our future. We want to embody those feelings. And so there's that other plug. Like, if you guys want to really learn how to embody your manifestations and learn how to bring them into fruition, they don't just have to be a pipe dream. And come join me. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. I know that it's going to be a little bit crazy, but what's new? Like, 2020 is crazy. And come join me on the 14th. Grab a reading if you need to this weekend. I am here. I love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.